So hi there, I am Abhishek Mishra. I am currently a web development intern at Worktez and I will be guiding you for the project setup. We will do the project setup using GitHub here. So our agenda will be first the introduction of our project. Then we will go on to prior requirements before installing the project in your system. And then we will set up the project in your machine and then we will run the project into developer environment using the emulators. And after that, I will be telling you important steps that you need to do every time before you do any changes in the code base. So let's go on with the project introduction. So a project has front end based on Angular, as you must know, and the back end we use is Firebase. And for styling and designing in the front end, we use Bootstrap as well as CSS. Now let's come to prior requirements before installing the project in your setup. So first of all, we will need to install Ubuntu in your machine. Try to install latest version of Ubuntu. So try to install the latest version of Ubuntu in your machine. After you have installed Ubuntu, then install Google Chrome and VS Code in your machine. So after you have installed both operating system of Ubuntu and as well as the softwares of VS Code and Google Chrome, we will install first Git in your machine using terminal. So these are the commands for installing Gits: sudo apt update and then sudo apt install git. Refer to this web page for any help while installing Git on your machine. So I will tag this in the description box. And after you have installed Git, install Node.js and npm using terminal. And these are the commands for installing Node.js and npm in your machine. I will also mark this link in the description so you can go to the website for reference. And we will also need Java runtime environment as well as Java development kit in Ubuntu. You can install this using terminal. The commands for these are written below here, and I will mark a link as well for this one. So just check out the description box and you will find it there. So now after we have installed all of this, like the Ubuntu, VS Code, Google Chrome, then we have installed Git, we have installed Node npm as well as JRE and JDK. Then we will go on to the project setup. So first of all, we need to fork the Worktez repository. Let's go to Google Chrome. Yeah. So I have this is the official repository of Worktez, and you can fork it from here. I have already forked this one. This is here. So when you fork this repository, then you have to clone it in your machine, in your local machine. So for doing this, create a folder in the desktop like I have done for this one. Then open VS Code and then open this folder in VS Code. I have opened this here. So now open the terminal. Also for instance, I am using Mac OS instead of Linux because I had Mac, and but I will be suggesting you for installing Linux only. Now when you have opened the project setup, then you have to clone the Git repository So for doing this, open your forked repository and copy this HTTPS code. Also, the steps I am following, all of these steps will be here in the contribute.md file. You can go along with this. This is the file here. So I will copy this code of the forked repository and mark it as git clone and then paste the link. So it will copy the forked repository in my machine. Now I have to go inside this cloned repository. So cd space worktez. Now I have to set the upstream repository, which is the original repository. Then I will go to the original repository, click on code, copy the HTTPS code, and then you will get the command here, git remote add upstream, and then paste the original repository link like this. Git remote add upstream, and then paste original repository link. So it will clone the original repository. Now to check whether it is cloned or not, just check git remote -v. So as you can see here, the origin repository, which means the forked repository, is Abhishek Mishra and slash Worktez, and the upstream repository is the official repository of Worktez here. So now after you have set up the upstream, you can guys check here. So now we will install npm. So for this, use sudo npm install. Use sudo before every of this command, which I will say, to prevent any permission error. Enter your machine password and hit enter. It will install npm in your machine, which is the node package manager. It might take some time. Now as npm is installed, we will install Angular. So for that, use the command npm install -g @angular/cli. Use sudo before that. Sudo npm install -g @angular/cli. Now Angular is also installed. We will install Firebase tools now. So sudo install -g Firebase tools. Sudo npm install -g Firebase/tools. Don't use @. Now Firebase tools are also installed. Then use Firebase login. Firebase login. I am already logged in with my email account. So this will lead you to a web browser where you have to log in using your Google account. Then after you have logged in, it will come back to VS Code, and see you will be seeing logged in as your email account. So after this, go to Google Chrome, open console.firebase.com, console.firebase.google.com, click on add project, create a new project by a demo name. Like I have created mine as Worktez first. This will be your demo project setup. Now after this, click on add app, click on web and enter the nickname of your web app. You can enter any name like demo and then enter this. You don't have to set up Firebase hosting, register app, and then after you have registered the app, you will again come to your console home page. Then you have to go to project settings and setup. You will see that npm code here, cdn code, and as well as configuration code. Now go back to VS Code and run Firebase init, which will initialize Firebase. Now you have to select Firestore functions. You can select this by pressing space. Storage emulators. Only select these four. Again, I'm repeating Firestore functions, storage emulators. Click enter. So now you have to enter your project ID. Use Firebase. Use minus minus add. Enter Worktez first and don't enter any alias. So this will do some changes in the Firebase RC file, but don't worry about that. Now start Firebase init. Enter Firestore functions, storage emulators. So now fire, click enter, click enter, click enter, click enter. JavaScript, no, 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 no. Now, do you want to install dependencies with npm now? Click on yes. You will just have to type y and enter. Now, just click enter. It will say no. Now, just hit enter. And would you like to download the emulators now? Type yes and enter. So, the ports are already installed in my machine, but it will take some time for you to install the ports. Now, click Firebase, type Firebase, deploy. It will deploy the first project in your Firebase. Now, after you have deployed the changes, discard this Firebase RC changes so that it won't affect any of this. Discard the changes. So The Firebase is initialized in your machine. After that, I will show some steps which you will have to follow every time before you do any changes in your code base. So these are the steps. Create a branch. First of all, you will have to switch to dev angular branch. Git checkout dev angular. Now, now when you have switched to dev angular branch, you need to create a new branch before every time you work on a task. So you can do this by git checkout -b, then the name of your branch. So I will name this branch as project setup. Project setup. Don't use spaces in between the branch name. So now after you have created a new branch for your task, now go to console.firebase.com. Click on project settings overview, then project settings. Click on config. Copy the API key to measurement ID, both key and value pair. Copy it. Now find the environment.ts file folder here. It will be in the src folder. Go to environment.ts. In the Firebase, paste this. Set the indentation format. Now copy the project ID and paste it here in the Firebase RC by replacing the default. I have changed the project ID as well. Now we need to install ngserve and as well as Firebase emulators. So let's clear it first. ngserve and Firebase emulators start. This might take some time for you. Now I am having this error port taken because in MacBook port number 7000 is already taken and which cannot be reverted. You won't have this error in Ubuntu, so don't worry about this. I will just change the port number here for me. You don't have to do this change unless you are having this error. I will change the port 7000 to 8000 and then re-enter this command. This would do the work, I guess. Okay, so both of the localhost of Angular and Firebase are running now. Now to open the project, click on Google Chrome and go to localhost slash 4000 colon 4000 actually, and go to Firebase localhost 8000. This will be the Firebase localhost. Now click on login with Google, add new account, auto generate user information, sign in with google.com. Now this will take some time. Now as you will see, your information will be getting here. In authentication, you will get the same ID as you have entered in the localhost 4200, and the file store data you will get here. Now reload this, and you will get the auto setup button. Click on this auto setup button. You can now go to the inspect element to see what are the changes being done. When you go to auto setup, go to console, you will see the changes being done here. You might have to wait some time. Now the setup is successful. Please wait until it loads completely. Now you will see in the file store you will have some more organizations, patches, raw data, scheduler, user data. Now you need to go to users and check if your selected team ID is tab or marketing. You can put any of this. I will prefer marketing. Now go on this localhost and reload it. And now the project is running in the emulator mode. Do not use production credentials here. This is the developer console. Actually, this is the developer environment for checking up and testing your changes. So whenever you do changes, just check them in the local host, and after you have completed your work or your task, then you need to push it. We are done till the step 9 here. Now before you commit your changes, always remember to discard these files, like which we and where we entered the credentials. So I will discard the environment.ts file. I will discard this firebase.json file, and after this I will check it, get status. Okay, get cd space Worktez. Now get status. You can see as it is, the changed file is showing up here. So if I have to commit it, well, I will not commit it for now. We can use commit commands which are given here. Git commit -a, then git push set upstream origin and your branch name. Then after that, this will be pushed to your branch. Then to raise a pull request, you have to go to the GitHub original repository. You will get some option here like create a pull request. So I will describe it in some another video, how to create a pull request and how to push your changes. So the project setup is done here, and always remember to create a new branch before you do your changes, then enter the credentials. These are the steps you will have to follow every time. You can also see all these steps in contribute.md file here. All the steps I have followed. So you have every time you need to do step 9 to 20 before doing any task. So thank you very much for being there, and I will refer all these links in the description which I used. So thanks.